this is Candace back again with another Singapore math lesson, and today we are in day 5 of Singapore math. And guess what we're doing today? Today we're going to do, again, I am making sure that we know exactly where we are. Singapore math, this is the primary mathematics. This is not dimensions. It's not even the new primary math. This is the primary math US edition. And today we are going to do pages 12 to 14 of the textbook. We're going to do pages 12 to 14, and in the workbook we are then going to do exercise number 5 of the workbook. That is what we're doing today, and we are going to start here on page number 12. Today we're covering, let's see what topics we're covering. We are going to cover the idea of rounding off numbers. How do you round? How do you round up and how do you round up? We're going to do rounding off, and we're also going to do like a scale, how to determine what each little line on a scale means. All right? Okay, so what we want to show you is that if you have... And let's go ahead and draw a scale here. Let's say you have a scale and it goes by tens, right? We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Let's go up to 80 because I don't have space to go up to 100. All right. Ideally, my scale probably should have started at 0 actually, but that's not the point. All right. These are called the nearest tens, or the tens, or in Jana's case, these were called the heads of families, okay? These are the nearest tens, and we want to show you how to round up and how to round down. Okay, so if you have the number 12, right, versus if you have the number 18. Between 10 and 20, the very halfway point is 15, all right? Anything 5 and up, or in this case 15 and up, would be rounded up to 20. Okay, so for example, if we have the number 16, the closest 10 would be 20. All right, if we have the number 15, the closest 10 would be 20. If we have the number 18, the closest 10 would be 20. So any number from 15 to 20 would be rounded up. If we round up to the closest 10, the closest 10 would be 20. All right, now any number between 10 and 14, right? Any number between 10 and 14, if someone was to ask us what's the closest 10, we would need to round down. Okay, what does that mean? If someone says to me, what's the closest 10 to 11? Since 11 is less than 15, we are going to say the closest 10 to 11 would be 10. Hopefully you understand that. The closest tens number to the number 11 would be the number 10. If what's the closest tens number to 12, that would be 10. All right, let me see if I could give you a couple more examples to make sure that we fully get the concept here, because I hate to feel like if you don't fully understand. All right, let's go. So let's say we're looking at a number line here, and the first number is 40, the second number is 50. Again, these are the heads of the families. These are the tens numbers. That's what we're calling them, right? Now, let's say we have all of the lines, and each line represent 1. They may not be equal. Don't kill me for it. I'm drawing freehand, and I'm not very good at drawing. So it is what it is. Hopefully you understand what's going on. All right, so this is 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. All right. Now, let's say we are going to be like, we're going to say, all right, if you have the number 42, how do you round it to the closest 10? What's the nearest 10 to 42, right? Well, guess what? We just said that anything from 45 go up, you would round up to 50. Anything from 44 go down, you would round down to 40. So the nearest 10 to 42 would be 40. But if somebody were to say to you, what's the nearest 10 to 47? that would be 50. Okay, let's do another example here. We're keeping the same scale between 40 and 50. And let's say we were asked, how do we round 44? Well, as we can see from our chart, 44 is rounded down to 40 because it's anything 44 go down to 41 has to be rounded down. If we had 45, 45 would be rounded up to 50. All right, that is exactly how you round numbers. All right, so I've shown you between 40 and 50. Now I want to show you how do you round down. One second. I want to show you how do you round down between 0 and 10. So let's say we had our little chart here. We had 0 here. We had 10 here. All right, each one in between would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? Based on the principle we've learned, anything from 5 to 9 needs to be rounded up to 10. Anything from 4 go down has to be rounded down to 0. What that means is if someone were to ask me what's the closest 10, let's write it here, closest 10 to 3, we'd say it's 0. However, if someone was to ask me what's the closest 10, closest tens number or closest tens to 7, that would be 10. Right? Let's do another example here. Make sure you get it. If someone were to ask me what's the closest tens number to 2, again, 2 is less than 4, so we need to round down to 0. What's the closest 10 to 9? 9, the closest 10 would be 10. All right, in your book on page number 12, right, let's do it using the savings. Right, in the top right corner, you should see our savings, right? Maggie actually saved $161. Oh, I gave Maggie way too much money, actually. Maggie did not save that much. She saved $61, right? And so let's say someone said to Maggie, hey, how much money did you save? Maggie can say, let's say she's rounding to the nearest 10. She can say, I saved about, she's not giving the exact figure, but she's giving the nearest 10. She saved about $60. And that goes in line with what we saw, right? Because if a number is 61, 62, 63, or 64, you would have to round down to 60. All right, now let's see. So Maggie saved about $60 because she saved $61, which was very close to $60, right? Now look at Rosa. Rosa saved how much money? Rosa saved $68. Well, if somebody were to say to Rosa, okay, how much money you save, and Rosa was giving them an estimate, she wasn't going to tell them the exact amount of money she saved. She was just going to give them an estimate of how much she saved. Well, right, from what we saw, if you have 65, 66, 67, 68, or 69, and you were going to write it to the nearest tens number, what number would it be nearest to? It would be nearest to 70. So Rosa can tell somebody that I saved about $70. All right, let's look at Brandy. Okay, Brandy saved exactly $75. And again, someone said to her, about how much money did you save? Right? We looked at the fact that if it's 75, the numbers 75, 76, 77, 78, and 79 would be rounded up to about what closest tens number? They would all be rounded up to about 80. Okay? So if Brandy can tell somebody I saved about $80. All right, so the next thing we're going to do on page number 12 is we are going to look at a timeline. On this timeline, they actually start at 50, it starts at 50 and it ends at 90. And on the timeline, the first thing you see here is you see the number 60. Right next to 60, you see a line that says 61, right? Again, between 50 and 60, you also see, you can count the total number of lines between 50 and 60. Pause the video right now and count the total number of lines between 50 and 60. Okay, come back in, and you should see 1, 2, 3, 4, a longer line at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So the fact that between 50 and 60, right, you have a total of 10 lines tells you, well, you have 9 lines between them, but including 60, you have 10 lines. That tells you that each line represents how much? Each line represents 1 unit, okay? So, right here next to 60, in blue, you have 61, right? Up here, you have 70, and 2 lines before 70, you would have 68, all right? Down here, you have, let's say 80 is here, but 5 lines from 70, you have 75. Oop, put it here to make it look just like the book. All right, and you should see that each line represents 1 unit. All right, well, what's the round off number? What's the round off number? 61, the closest 10 to 61 would be what? It would be 60. What's the closest 10 though to 68? Right? 68 is more than 64, or it's more than 65. So the closest 10 to 68 would be 70. What's the closest 10 to 75? We said, well, I'm not sure if I said this before, but I'll say it now. Anything 5 and up, you round it up. So this closest 10 would be 80. All right, and as you can see on here, we will round down because 61 is between 60 and 70, but it's closer to 60, right? 68 is between 60 and 70, but it's closer to 70. 75 is exactly halfway between 70 and 80, but we said when a number ends in the 5, we round it up closer to 80. All right. So that is all for today. It's pages 12 and 13. Oh, no, wait. Oh, gotta do page 14. All right, so you would have to do the task on page number 14. All right, and you can see here on page number 14, the first task number 1, they're asking you to round off. So you need to know, am I rounding up or rounding down? Go ahead and do A, and then I'll do it with you. 14A, if you're rounding up to 30. You have to go ahead and do all that task. Now that is task number 1 on page number 14. For task number 2, again, you're rounding off each number to the nearest 10. The number they're telling you is 234. You can see 230 is going to be one of the 10s, and 240. 234 is between 230 and 240, but it's going to be closer to which number? It's closer to 230. So if you're rounding up, you're rounding up to 230. All right, go ahead and do B and C of task number 2, and go ahead and do task number 3. If you need the answers for these, please put a comment down below and let me know that you need the answers, but your parents should be able to do this with you. All right, once you're done with page number 14, go to the workbook. Go to the workbook. This is the 4A workbook. Again, this is the Primary Mathematics US edition, and you are going to do, let me make this look kind of neat here. Again, I'm not the neatest. My handwriting, especially on this, is not the neatest. Workbook 4A, and you are going to do exercise 5. All right, if you need the answers, comment down below so that I could give you the answers so you can verify that you have the right thing. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you understand what's going on. Please don't forget to like, comment if you need the answers, and subscribe. And I will see you on day number 6 of Singapore Math Primary Mathematics 4A.